welcome back to Nasty Woman Radio, where we stay nasty yet classy. And today we will be investigating the woman insecurity and where does it derive from by the few interviews that I have prepared with us today. So let's just get started and you guys keep on listening. Okay, so here today we have Cassidy Comrie to talk to us about her relevance in the world as a woman, and how she feels about herself and how society has influenced her. Cassidy, please tell us, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate yourself?
Probably a solid 6.5.
Okay, so to get this correct, you said 6.5. Would you consider that relatively low?
It's about middle range, I think. I think it's about in the middle.
Okay. So with that remaining, to get to a 10, what are you lacking? Do you feel that you are lacking that wouldn't cause you to be a 10?
Well, I'm built like a rectangle, first off. So, if I had a slimmer waist, that would be great. If I was a little bit taller, because I'm short, and that's just, I personally just don't like being short. It doesn't make me feel pretty or beautiful. And yeah, just more of a shape.
Okay, so you feel that your body is what affects you from being a 10?
Definitely.
Okay, so what makes a girl a 10? All attributes, physical.
Tall, skinny, almost like a Barbie doll. Big boobs, big butt. Well, not big butt, like proportional, but still like something there. And like a nice smile and pretty eyes and like long flowy hair.
Okay, what color is his hair? What color is the person?
They're
what
white.
color are the eyes?
They're white, their eyes are probably blue, and they're blonde.
Okay, so literally Barbie.
Yeah.
So what makes you feel like Barbie is the standard of beauty?
Because that's just what you see everywhere, and that's what people seem to like.
And by people, do you mean men?
Men, and that's what men want, and that's what women want themselves to be.
So since you're judging the standard of beauty based off of men's standards, do you feel that makes men more in control?
I do feel that way.
So
but I also feel like
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We wouldn't even have a standard of beauty if it wasn't something that was desired by somebody.
Okay. I actually kind of agree with you on that standpoint. So do you feel that women live their lives to impress somebody else, not necessarily themselves?
Yeah. One thing I've noticed about being a woman and growing up is how everything is almost like a competition. Like everything we do is towards some goal, and it's barely even for ourselves.
Okay, and so when does a girl reach her goal?
I don't think anyone ever reaches that goal.
Is it nailing the guy that they feel like will accept them, marriage?
The thing is that it doesn't just stop at one guy or one thing.
Can you expand on that?
Let's say this girl likes this guy and he likes this kind of girl, and so she changes herself for him. And she gets the guy, but then it's only temporary because
you're not your true self.
Because she's not her true self around him, and so it's almost like she's constantly changing herself and feeling like she has to adapt to find her place in society or to be something important.
Was there a time, or was there any person in particular, don't really name names, or just name like a relation to you, or is there anybody that made you feel like you were a 6.5?
Definitely. Most definitely. A lot of people.
Okay. And what made their opinions matter? Were they close to you? Or are they just the fact that you lack people telling you that you're beautiful? and that you're more than a 6.5?
Well, I'm more critical of myself anyway. I'm a very like critical person. And so I'm like constantly undermining myself, and I feel like most girls are. They're just nitpicking themselves.
So do you find yourself that you talk bad about yourself to prepare yourself so other people can't? Is it like a defense mechanism?
It's not like other people can't, because they will anyway.
But it doesn't affect you as much because you feel the same way, or does it hurt more because it feels like someone's agreeing with you and that hurts more?
It hurts more when you get an outside opinion. It's almost like a confirmation. It's like, yeah, I definitely need to change this about myself.
Do you think it's possible for women to get out of this stage of living their life and live for themselves? Do you think that women need to, if women were to promote each other instead of shaming each other, it's kind of similar to like black on black crime, how it angers some people because, you know, you already have other people oppressing you and you don't want your own man to do the same to you. So woman to woman, it's kind of the same thing. When, you know, another girl calls you ugly or fat or talks bad about you behind your back, it's exactly what the men are doing, or what we're scared that men are doing, and that's what causes us to change who we are or wanting to fit this particular image. Do you feel that you being considering yourself a 6.5, do you feel like that holds you back in some aspects of your life, and if so, in what aspects?
In every aspect of my life, I think, because I feel just small and irrelevant because I feel as if I can't live up to some standard.
And what is the standard that you're trying to live up to?
I don't even know. Just being, it's almost like I just want to be something better than I am now.
Do you feel like no one has a stopping point, so they all want to accomplish a certain perfection, but yet they never seem to be satisfied?
Yeah, because humans aren't perfect. We can never be perfect. Basically, from a young age, I was told by people like my mom or older women that I was told to listen to and look up to what I needed to be accepted. Like, I needed to either be skinnier, or I needed to wear nicer clothes, or straighten my hair, or do this and that, and it was all centered around, or guys won't like you, or no one will accept you.
Thank you, Cassidy, for coming and talking to us on Nasty Gal. Okay, so for our second guest here with us today, we have Chi-Chi here with us, another freshman at UGA. Chi-Chi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Okay, so I wanted to start off by asking you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate yourself?
When it comes to like my
Your
appearance,
physical appearance, and just you as a standard of beauty.
my physical appearance, I probably rate myself around like a 6, maybe.
Wow. Okay, so you rate yourself at a 6. Okay. What are you lacking from being a 10?
I just feel like in society, smaller noses are seen as more acceptable, and I don't have a small nose, so I've always been super insecure about my nose. Like, every time I look in the mirror, it's always the first thing I see. Like, I really wish I could see the parts of myself that I think are beautiful. Like, I like my eyes, I like my smile, but for some reason my nose, I think it's humongous. Like, it always pops out as soon as I see myself in the mirror. And it's just one of my biggest insecurities. And another reason why I wouldn't rate myself a 10 is my skin. Not my skin color, but I've always had problems with hyperpigmentation. I've been trying for the longest to clear up my skin. I've had acne problems since I was in middle school. And like, I look around me and I see all these girls with super clear skin, and they don't need any makeup to have flawless skin. Well, I feel like I do, so that's another insecurity that I've always had of my nose and my hyperpigmentation of my skin. So.
Okay. So what makes a girl or a woman or female a perfect 10? Like, if you were to close your eyes and picture one, what does she look like? Her hair, what length is it? What's her skin color? What does her facial features look like? Body shape, all that.
Well, I feel like my answer is gonna sound kind of brainwashed, but I feel like, well, let me talk about how like the average person of beauty is to people in society. So I feel like for most people, not really my opinion, but for most people, she has lighter skin, definitely, small nose, symmetrical facial features, curvy, nice boobs, nice butt, what else? Like longer hair,
What's the texture of the hair?
silky, definitely not afro textured hair or 4C hair. Not necessarily a face full of makeup, but like, well, enough. They don't need a lot of makeup to be considered beautiful. For me personally, skin tone doesn't really play a factor into how beautiful a woman is. She could be white, pale, and still be gorgeous, and dark and still be gorgeous. But yeah, for me, it's just like, I think people with bigger noses are beautiful, but whenever I see images online of gorgeous girls, they typically have a smaller nose, perfect weave or longer, silky weave or wigs. Yeah, the stereotypical nice body, like a big butt, big boobs, curves.
Okay, so when you say nice butt, nice boobs, curves, what do you mean? What makes a nice butt, nice boobs? Like, is it like medium size? Like, what is it? Like the whole slim, thick aspect?
Yeah, slim, thick.
So small waist, but
Yeah.
is rounded out. So like Coca-Cola shape. Okay.
That's what most people would consider a nice body. Well, in terms of the Black community, I don't know if like people in the
Okay,
Black
so
community would agree, but just in terms of like, I'm just thinking in terms of like my culture.
okay. Do you feel that society progresses based off of the standard of beauty? So meaning women that fit closer to the standard of beauty get farther in life than ones that don't.
Definitely. Because I feel like there's something called pretty privilege. Have you ever heard of that before? Pretty privilege. It's not really a term that's used a lot, but pretty privilege is basically that like people who are considered more attractive are treated better. They have better job opportunities. People consider them to have a higher level of education sometimes. They're just overall treated better in society. So I do definitely believe that they get farther.
Okay. So for that aspect, what makes you believe this? Was it, is it social media? Is it your parents? Is it just looking at, like, what's making you feel this way?
I feel like it's social media probably plays the biggest role. TV plays a bigger role. Like in some TV shows, the prettier character is usually the main character, while the sidekick is usually the one that's not as attractive. Social media, the Instagram models are like the pretty girls, they're usually the ones that make the most money, and they're the ones that are most promoted. In the music industry, if you are beautiful and light skinned, I feel like you have a better chance of getting a role on TV, or that's not the music industry, but like just like the whole like music, entertainment industry in general. They get more roles, they're promoted more, they get signed more, they just have more opportunities. Like I'm trying to think of like a good example of this. Like just like everyday celebrities. Like for example, have you heard of Cash Doll?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, this is more in terms of colors and not really in terms of appearance, but like I personally think Cash Doll is very pretty, but she's dark skinned. And while somebody like Cardi B, she's light skinned, Nicki Minaj, she's light skinned, Dream Doll, she's light skinned, and they're put more on a pedestal in the music industry and society more than somebody who's dark skinned like Cash Doll. I feel like I'm making this all about skin tone.
Well, I mean,
My
like
bad.
okay, so that's what this podcast is about. It's focusing on superficial appearances and how that affects women in society, and also just the standard of beauty. So a lot of this is superficial topics, and color is a superficial thing, and it's a superficial problem. So judging someone on color is just equivalent as to judging somebody just based off of what they're wearing. It's something that it's just something on top of them, something superficial. It's not exactly inside them that makes them different. So you speaking about your issue with, colorism and people being judged based off of their color, that does fit in because it's like the standard of beauty is skin is lighter. And so like you said, the idea of a woman that is lighter skin tone, she progresses faster than a darker skin tone, so it completely goes with the topic. So you can continue on with your opinion on that. But I do want to say, do you feel that maybe implementing more colored princesses, because a lot of your insecurities how old were you when you first realized that, you're being judged on your looks and that you felt like you had to, be a different way to be accepted?
Probably middle school, because that's when I really started suffering through low self-esteem and started having a lot of acne problems. People would make fun of me for my acne. People would make fun of me because I'd wear, I don't know, I guess because I wore glasses and had acne, people associate that with being, being ugly. I've never had an issue with my skin tone, but I'm trying to think of when I started to realize that people with lighter skin were treated better than people with darker skin. I think that also the media played a role in that, and I started to realize that women with darker skin, they just were always ostracized, and they weren't represented enough in the media. Like I said, they were always the sidekick character. They were never playing the main role. The main roles usually for example, Martin in Martin the show, Gina, and who was the
I don't know.
the darker skin? Oh my god, I can't remember.
It's okay.
Yeah, but Gina was considered, she was the lighter skin girl. She was considered prettier, while her darker skin sidekick, she was just the sidekick. She wasn't as beautiful as Gina, and that's when
I'm sorry, but did the characters physically say that she was more beautiful, or was it just people that watched the show seemed to collectively agree that the lighter skin was more beautiful?
It was not necessarily anybody saying that she was prettier. I just felt like it was subliminal messages in the show that there's like messages in the show that made it seem like Gina was the prettier character. if that
Maybe it
makes
was like the
sense.
show had more focus on her.
Yeah, a lot more focus.
Okay. Back on the topic of superficial beauty and standard of beauty,
Mm-hmm.
has there been a person that told you to your face that you were not beautiful or not up to par?
Yeah, kids in my school mostly. Nobody in my family has ever insulted my appearance, thank goodness. But yeah, like kids are mean, and they're usually honest. So
Wait, okay, so are these kids as in younger than you, or is it like when you were in middle school and you were in high school?
yeah, when I was in middle school, not so much in high school. Nobody ever told me to my face in high school that I was ugly, but it was mostly middle school children. When I was in middle school, they would tell me to my face that I was ugly.
Okay, so your fellow peers in school would
Yes.
tell you this. And since it started do you think since it started at a young age, it made you feel that it was more a confirmation that you were the way they were? Like if they had spoken on an insecurity that you had, did you feel like it was a confirmation that something about you was not up to par?
Well, I've definitely gained a lot more confidence since that time, but I think because like they never really made fun of my nose. My dad was the one. Not my dad didn't really like make fun, like call it ugly, but he always used to call it oh your nose is so big. But that's a story for later. But yeah, they mostly talk about my acne the most. I had acne all over my forehead and my cheeks. So I think that's one of the reasons why I still have a lot of problems with my my skin, and also because of the fact that even though my acne has cleared up a lot, like I definitely don't have as many pimples as I used to, I still struggle with like whenever I get a pimple, like I get really depressed. Or if I get like some pimples on my cheek, like I'll get really depressed and upset about it, because like it just takes me back to that time where I was made fun of for my pimples, and it just made me feel super ugly and super unattractive. So I think like it's played a role in how I feel about myself, but I think I've also learned to gain confidence in other aspects about myself. So yes, it's played like a role, but not a big role, if that makes sense.
Okay, so you were speaking about your middle school experience and said how your confidence has increased. Would you say that your rating from 1 to 10 has increased?
Yeah, because if I rated myself in middle school, I probably would have said like a 2.
Okay, so that's a big jump for you. So this security that you began to start feeling, like you started feeling more secure in yourself and more confident in yourself. Would you rate your confidence the same thing? Is it higher? What caused for that confidence to boost? What has helped you to do that?
I think what has helped my confidence is just surrounding myself with more people who are like myself, because I keep going back to middle school, but it wasn't even just my physical appearance in middle school that I didn't like. I also wanted to be white. Like we already had this conversation yesterday, but like I wanted to like be not like for some reason I didn't hate my skin tone, but for some reason I still wanted to be white. I feel like that doesn't make any sense, but I just didn't have a good sense of my culture. But when I finally got in high school, I started surrounding myself with more people who are like me and more people who are confident in themselves. And I think surrounding myself with more confident people has definitely helped my confidence grow. And another reason why my confidence has grown a lot is because I started following like Black beauty pages on Instagram and Tumblr, and just seeing those images like made me feel like, oh, like, so Black is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with being Black. There's nothing wrong. Even though I still have my insecurities, like, I feel like for the most part, like, nothing's wrong with me anymore. So, and I feel like, I mean, self-confidence doesn't necessarily grow with age, but because, like, I've also matured a lot, I feel like that's also played a role in my confidence as well. So.
Okay, thank you for coming and answering questions. Okay, so for our last female interview, we have Sophia Bono here with us today. Sophia, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm awesome. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself overall? Physical appearance, just your self-esteem, everything.
Well, I've struggled with that for a very long time, and coming to college has really given me a chance to really like connect with myself. So if you would have asked me that about 6 months ago, I probably would have told you like somewhere closer to like a 4 or 5. But like right now, I'm really feeling like a 7 or 8.
Okay.
Like I'm in a pretty good place right now.
So you feel like 7 or 8 is relatively high for a female. Okay.
I mean, it's on terms you bring in self-esteem and like self-image and stuff, and obviously there are things that I don't like about myself, but I'm more in the place where I'm learning to love myself, even the parts of me that I don't necessarily like or want. I'm still glad that they're there.
Okay, so tell me, how did you come to this part in your life where you feel secure about yourself and that you feel that you are more beautiful and are accepting of it?
I think it's more related to the independence that I've found with coming to college. I've struggled with depression and anxiety in the past, and before coming to college, that was definitely an issue. And this past year has been really a journey of finding myself and kind of figuring out where I am and trying to build myself up and learning to love myself, even though there are definitely parts of myself that I don't like. Learning to love those parts.
Okay, so with that in mind, so you're saying now you feel more secure about yourself. Let's talk about when you didn't feel secure about yourself. Where did you get that feeling? Was it from parental influence, social media? Is it with television? What shows you watched? Like, what made you feel that way?
Well, when I was really younger, like in middle school, I think that was more of the time where I started noticing how other girls looked and how I looked in comparison. And in social media, models, everyone on TV, and thinking, oh, I have to look like them. And I developed kind of quickly or younger than most of my peers. And I remember going to class and feeling like fatter. And I definitely struggled with that. But as I moved into high school, it was definitely more of an influence from my mom. Although she didn't mean to, she's very blunt in how she spoke to me about like how I looked in my body. Sometimes it really got to me, and it was more of a family influence at that point.
Definitely. I definitely can relate to you on that one, because I remember, and I know when I bring this up to my mom, she does kind of start to feel bad, is I used to have a friend, and all my friends are usually skinnier than me, and it was just this one particular friend, and I was talking about this guy that I liked, and I was in, I think, either middle school or late elementary, and my mother said, who do you think the guy would more like to be with, you or her?
Wow.
And I know she didn't mean anything by it, because she calls me beautiful all the time, but at the same time
it sticks with you.
It sticks with you.
Yeah.
And it's like when your own mother, your own flesh and blood, the person that's supposed to love you the most, feels that way, it's a confirmation. And we've talked about this even with the other girls, is that you know, when you have somebody confirming your insecurity, it's a lot more heart-wrenching.
Oh, definitely. And my mom, like, some of the things that really stuck with me is, like, she always tried to make, she's very modest, she's from Mexico, and so when I kind of was ahead of my peers and sort of that way, she always was telling me to cover up and stuff in ways that kind of probably made me feel, I don't know if I've ever actually been overweight, but I definitely have convinced myself that I was at some point because of that, because she just kept telling me I need to cover up, like I can't be wearing what I'm wearing because I'm too big, and that's not even how she meant it, but it really sticks with you, it really does, especially at that age, like there's so much pressure.
Do you feel that that pressure has changed over the years? Like this independence, did it come from being independent from her, or just being independent as far as finding yourself?
Well, I think at that age, I'm a psych major, so I'm kind of into like the social development that happens between middle school and high school is so vitally important, and everything that happens in that time can really shape a person and influence them years beyond what you would expect. And in that time, I didn't have like the best relationship with my mom, and I really struggled to find independence from her. And obviously I wasn't really able to find that because I was still living with her. And I think as I got older, I didn't really have much of an influence. I have 2 older brothers, so I didn't really have any strong female influences in my life. Like my mom was there, but we weren't super close. So the most I could do was like just look at the people around me. So I tried to be independent, but I think I just ended up being more dependent on the opinions of others, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I want to kind of shift this towards a question that I asked the other girls as well. What makes a perfect 10 for you?
Confidence, definitely.
Okay, so it's not about physical appearance, it's about what
that person feels
about
about
themselves.
that's how a person feels about themselves shapes everything, how they hold themselves, how they talk to others. I think someone who, just looking at them, would say like they're lower on the 1 to 10 scale or whatever, but they love themselves, they're confident. You can see it in the way that they move, the way that they talk and interact with others. They just seem more lively, beautiful, and you want to be closer to that person just because of the energy they have. And I feel like that matters more than physical appearance, because if someone is beautiful but they have such a crappy personality that all you can see, like their face stops being their face. You start seeing their personality and how they treat others and how they feel about themselves, and then that's what you see more than their physical appearance. I feel like internal feelings about yourself and how you interact with others is so much more important in terms of rating someone on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, which this is very intriguing because the other 2 girls had a different perspective, because we all were focusing that 10 on a physical aspect, and then you bring in something that's more psychological.
Yeah.
Do you feel that society sees it that way? What is society's perfect 10? What is the standard of beauty for society that you feel like is acceptable?
When you bring psychology into it, I definitely don't think most people are conscious of that difference in viewing yourself physically and viewing how you view yourself just inside. But externally, right now, it's really an emphasis on like an hourglass figure, very like sleek hair and like straight white teeth and beautiful eyes, and like the makeup with the contour and stuff. Like that's you look at that and you're like, that's so beautiful, like she's so beautiful. And that's more what you see in media, especially right now with people like social media influencers. That's crazy that that's a thing right now, but it is, and it's simply because they look like how so many people are convincing themselves that they need to look like.
So with that, you said, does that person have a particular skin color?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going more towards lighter skin colors. Even in more communities that aren't white, you definitely still see the beauty standard gravitating towards the lighter skin color of that. I'm Mexican myself. I think I said that already, but like in Mexico, it's having Eurocentric features is what makes you pretty. And I got my dad's genes more than my mom, and my dad's from Ohio, so I have very pale skin and I have like blue eyes. And I remember when I was little and I went to Mexico, I would literally have people stare at me and point at me and come ask to take a picture with me when I was little, and that was so like disorienting as an 8-year-old having that happen to you. And it wasn't until I was older that my mom like kind of explained to me, it's because you look white that you're so pretty there. Like that's what makes you attractive in their eyes, because that's what's seen as beautiful in so many cultures, just Eurocentric features.
Do you feel that those who have these Eurocentric features and those who fit this standard of beauty, or that are close to fitting this standard of beauty, get ahead farther than those who don't?
I think in some ways, yes, for sure. I think it's a lot easier to progress in society and interacting with people, but it's actually kind of an interesting phenomenon in psychology. People who are more attractive, when they go for an interview, they're seen as less intelligent. So in terms of professionalism, I'm not so sure. Maybe with men. With men, that might be a thing. The more attractive go further. But with women, definitely, if you are seen as more attractive, it's harder for you to advance in like a professional environment. But other than that, definitely, for sure, you're definitely going faster and further than someone who struggles with self-image or how people view them.
Okay, so with this influence that we are seeing from society and from social media, are there any practices or anything people can do that could make women not feel this way, or to build this confidence? Because obviously you said that you went from about to be rating yourself as a 2 to rating yourself as a 7 or 8, which is a big jump.
Yes.
Okay, what is some advice for women or young girls that feel insecure about themselves to get that jump, to see themselves more beautiful? Is it different between different girls?
I think it all circles back to not looking to outside influences to validate how you feel or how you look, and it comes from turning inside and seeing, I like this about myself, and finding those little things, and eventually those little things become big things. Like the reason people look in the mirror, or like right now in psych we're learning about eating disorders, and people with anorexia, they look in the mirror and they see someone who is significantly fatter than they are in real life, and it's because they find little parts of themselves that they fixate on, and they think that's horrible, and it becomes everything they see, and they can't see the good things. And I think changing that comes from stopping that train of thought and starting on the little things that you like until those become all that you can see, because it matters more about how you view yourself than anyone else. And I think a lot of especially young women forget that, and that's just awful.
Okay, and with that being said, like I told another girl, I don't want to make this political, but at the same time, do you feel that in our society that is ran by men that seem to objectify women and get away with it, does that kind of stunt the progression of women and how they feel about themselves if they're just considered sexual objects?
I consider myself a feminist. And it's crazy that saying that is so controversial these days, but it is.
Really?
Yeah, no, I'll say that and people will look at me and they'll say, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, I'm a feminist. I believe in gender equality. And they're like, they associate it with third wave feminism, which I don't believe is even sort of what actual feminism is.
What is third wave feminism?
It's kind of like the Twitter movement with the women saying, oh, we need to be better than men. We need to like
Oh, okay.
all of kind of more extreme liberal feminism.
Okay.
And that's very not inclusive. That's not even what feminism is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's usually what's associated with the word nowadays. But back to your question, what was
Feminine progression.
Yeah, I think that it's very important to understand your value as a woman. I definitely think men oppressing women by objectifying them is 100% a reality for so many women. And even any woman, you ask her, and she can tell you a time where a man made her feel belittled. And it's not all men, but every woman has experienced that by one man, which is the difference. And honestly, there's also this movement to women to empower themselves and sexually liberate themselves. And you see it in pop culture with singers and new models or whatever. Like, they're posting more sexual photos or anything along that line of idea. And I have mixed feelings about it because I feel like it can send the message of, to be confident, you have to be this, like, you can't, like, it takes away from the idea that you can both be modest and confident, because I believe you can be anything you want and confident, but it's also empowering. If a woman wants to do what she wants and she decides it for herself, that's what makes the difference, that she's deciding it. A man isn't deciding that she should be sexual. The woman is deciding herself what she should be. And if she wants to stay home and be
A housewife.
a housewife, yeah, that's totally that's empowering too. Like, because she chose that for herself. And that's so crazy, because in society today, like, men and male oppression, like, it pressures women into thinking that they have to be this or that they have to go to either extreme. And that's completely from the difference in how men and women are treated today.
Which is also seen in princess movies.
Yes.
Princess movies are so heavily driven because everyone's trying to find their Prince Charming, trying to find their one.
Mm-hmm.
So girls are trying to depend on getting married, trying to depend on finding the man that's going to whisk them away and, you know, but it's making them dependent.
Oh.
And so, you know, you're trying to find your Prince Charming. You're trying to find, you know, the person that's going to save the day. Mm-hmm. Why does the man have to save the day?
Yeah.
And so it kind of makes women dependent. That's another form of oppression.
Yeah.
Is making them dependent on you, and that gives them the ability to control you, because you'll do anything to get that male.
Yeah.
Whether it's change your body or, you know, women making all their decisions trying in order to get desired by this man that they want.
And it's so crazy that you said that, because I recently, like, a guy was telling me, like, I'm going to show you how beautiful you are. And I was kind of like, screw you. I'm going to show myself how beautiful I am. Like, I don't need your validation to tell me what I am. And that shocks men. If they compliment you and you say, I know, right back to them, they're so taken aback and sometimes even offended, because they feel that they have the right to tell you what your worth is.
And validate you.
Yeah. And
validate your worth.
That's 100% bullshit. Like, that really is. Oh, sorry.
No, that's good. But yes. Yeah, and then with that, we also have in the case where if you do say, yeah, I know, they think like you're conceited, and it's just like, it's confidence.
Yes.
You know, a woman doesn't have to be like, oh, thank you, like, your opinion matters to me.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll just be like, oh, she's full of herself. No,
Yeah.
she's just confident.
Yeah.
So I think that's such a powerful thing that you said,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of women don't see it that way, but I think that's beautiful.
Thank you. I just think women need to hold on to that, because even if a man tries to tear you down, when you say, I know, to their "you're beautiful" and they go, "Oh, you're too you're too full of yourself." No, you're not. He just thinks that he can tell you what you are, and that's what gives him the power. Take that power back. Tell yourself that you beautiful.
It's all right.
Yes, tell yourself that you are beautiful and take that power back. And honestly, that's the best advice I can give to young women out there, and I really hope that they can take that to heart.
Thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you so much for having me.
All
It's
right.
really fun.
We also have a male guest here with us today whose identity will be anonymous because we don't want to discredit him just in case he says anything controversial. But he's promising to be honest, and we will be able to understand the thought process of males. So he's going to speak in his point of view and also somewhat speak for what he's seen through his peers. So, as far as a woman, if you were to close your eyes and you were to picture a woman that's a perfect 10, what does she look like? Hair color, skin color, everything.
Dark hair, caramel complexion, just physical attributes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, curvy, dark hair, caramel complexion, maybe 5'9", because I'm tall. That's it.
Okay. But as far as who you're attracted to, that definitely fluctuates, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what are some attributes that you usually are lenient on?
I don't know. It just depends on the moment, spur of the moment type thing. It's just how I'm feeling towards the individual.
Okay. How often do you simply compliment a random woman?
Maybe once every 4 or 5 months, maybe every 6 months.
Okay, so it's not a often thing. Do your friends do that?
Compliment random girls.
Yes.
I got one friend that does it, but for the most part, no, we don't. Just because it makes you look kind of weird, you know.
Do you have an idea why it makes guys look weird if you just randomly compliment a woman?
Just 'cause a lot of dudes don't have respect towards women, so a lot of times it sounds like a dude is trying to demean a girl or disrespect a girl or belittle her for just like what she looks like, and that's not.
Is it like certain compliments that kind of have that result, or do you feel like all compliments have that result?
No, definitely not all compliments. I mean, if you just say, and also a lot of times everybody's not on the same level of maturity as you, so you can say certain things to a certain person that don't trigger them, and then say the same thing to others. So it definitely varies on what you say to the, like what kind of compliments you give. I think you just have to just realize you can't go to a extreme when you're giving a compliment to a lady.
Catcalling, is that a compliment?
No, that's definitely not a compliment.
Okay, so why do guys do it?
Because dudes like to make their friends laugh. Because a lot of times, most of the time, if a dude catcalls a girl, he's definitely not by himself. Because you're really interested in the girl, you're not going to yell at her and bring all the attention in the world on her. You just go and talk to her yourself. So most of the time, it's just to entertain your friends or the people you're around for a dude most of the time.
Okay, and how often do you approach a girl, whether it's just to be friends or to be more than friends?
Not often, just because like most of the time people know me because I'm a loud, outgoing person. So I really don't have to approach people for people to get to know me. They just be in the same area as I am. But if I had to give it like a number how often, I say like maybe like once a week.
Okay, and does a girl's appearance hinder you from approaching?
Usually no. Like I'd rather see how cool of a person you are before I really start digging into that type of thinking.
What about your friends?
Like friends, as in girls, like
No, your male friends.
Male
Does
friends?
your male friends are they different or?
I think for the most part, we just like to have a good time and be around good people. Again, like it is like a few outliers that are like surface level thinkers, but for the most part, nah, we just trying to find good people.
Okay, and as far as, surface level thinking, I'm not saying all men are bad because that's not the case, but do you feel that girls do feel they see those more? They see those outliers that are surface level thinkers and feel that they are belittled because of that?
I would say they probably encounter and interact with those dudes that are immature more often than they deal with a dude that's is comfortable with himself and not trying to, and knows how other people feel, so he doesn't try to attack their feelings. So I think she runs into those shallow-minded individuals more often.
Okay, and there's also something that I saw today, and I want to ask you about it. Why do you think girls feel when guys say they care more about personality than physical appearance? Why do girls think that you guys are lying?
Because a lot of times if one person does something bad, it sets it stereotypes the entire group. And to be honest, I think it's people don't understand what dudes say when they mean that. When I say that, I mean I'm not finna, even no matter how beautiful a girl is, if she is an ugly person on the inside, I really can't go too much further with her. I feel like everybody has a certain level of beauty or a sex appeal they want from an individual, but everybody feels like if a person's just a bad individual or a dry individual, they don't want to deal with them. So a dude's not saying that he only looks at personality, but he's saying that when you get past one level, one boundary or one milestone that you need for to enter his life, it's other ones too.
Okay. Now, do you feel like all guys think that way, or is it just, the actual mature ones, the ones that,
I think dudes don't know they think that way. Dudes think that way, but they just don't know it. They don't know themselves that well.
Also, so do you feel that girls that fit the standard of beauty get further ahead when it comes to either relationships or just even workplace or other things like that, opposed to girls that are farther away?
I think in the short term, yeah. But you have to produce to get, results is what makes people believe in you and what makes people trust you and make people want you to succeed. So beauty might get you a foot in the door, but it's not going to get you solidified. It'll get you a chance and opportunity, but it's not going to do the work for you.
Okay. And a lot of things we focus on is girls' insecurities, but guys have them as well. That's a definite thing. Do you think that your insecurities hold you back as well, just like it does for women?
In respect to my success academically right now and future-wise, job market, I don't think it's going to hold me back. But relationships with women, I think it does hold me back, just because you're thinking about what if, the negative things that could occur from you just going and interacting with someone you're interested in. But it just depends on what area you're asking about.
I kind of in all aspects of life, because some women feel that if they're insecure about themselves, they feel every moment in their life is being judged, so they don't go out and talk to that guy that they want to talk to, or they won't go for the job opportunity because they feel someone prettier or more capable than them. And even though body image or just physical appearance may make them insecure, it leaks into different aspects of their life, where they feel, I'm not good enough in this aspect, so I won't be good enough in this one. Do you ever think about this, or do you and your friends ever talk about it? Or
we don't talk about it directly, but dudes definitely try to poke and ask questions without directly asking, bro, do you think I can be successful, or do you think I can do this? They asking in weird ways. They try to go around the question, but they definitely are questioning themselves and what they can do. But I think it hurts everybody. You know, it's like insecurities. It affects everybody, and even the most successful people probably are worried about what they can't do or what they don't have or who they're not. Personally, I think I'm gonna be okay, because a lot of times when I doubt myself, it's like, okay, you're not good, so what do you need to do to get better? That's how I think about it. So me personally, it definitely doesn't hinder my life, but I bet it does hinder a lot of people's, though. Males.
Okay. And also, women, do you have any advice to them? Because, you know, they feel like every time a guy looks at them, they're instantly judged. Is that the case? Or just because a guy doesn't approach them, that they're not, you know, acceptable or beautiful just because they don't get that compliment, just because they don't, you know, feel attracted or get, you know, the cat calls. They're always searching for male solidification. Do you think women should focus on that? Like, what is your male point of view on that?
So a lot of times I tell my friends that everybody gonna do what they want to do. Like, you can't force nobody to react, or you can't force no events to work out how you want them in life. So in my opinion, I wouldn't worry about it at all. Just strive on what you love and what you enjoy, and then everything else will come. And that's like money, love, romance. Like, dudes are assholes. Dudes are dual-minded individuals a lot of times, and they don't realize they don't look beyond what their friends are looking beyond, and when they get into groups, they just think 10 times worse. So if I was a lady, I would don't care about dudes, because 9 times out of 10 they chasing you. You just don't know it. You know, it's a game. You know, most of the times the woman is being tailed. They just don't realize it because dudes suck at communicating.
Suck at communicating. That's for sure. Do you guys think there is well, obviously you did say there was a miscommunication. You were speaking on with your friends. When you're with your friends, or guys in general, I mean, obviously your opinion is different than, every other male. We don't want to stereotype them, but do you find that guys choose a girl that they can show off to their friends and their friends be impressed?
Absolutely, but that happens less and less often as you get older, because dudes realize, like, they don't care, regardless about who I bring around. I have to spend the time with them. So I think, yeah, like, as a college student, as a college male, absolutely. But as a senior, 4 years from now, I don't think dudes will probably ever be doing that. They just like who they like.
So it just grows with maturity.
Absolutely. Dudes it's like everybody. Everybody want to show they have more than other people. You know, like, rich kids bully poor kids. They want to show that they have more and make other people feel bad because of it. So it's the same thing when it's talking about who you have on your arm, or who is your partner in life. Dudes want to have the best, to show they're the best, so they can believe they are the best.
So still stuck on the superficial level.
Absolutely.
And something that, you know, was scientifically proven is that women mature faster. Like, guys, well, and it's more of a body structure as guys continue to grow until they're 21. Women stop at 18. And so it's the whole maturing faster. But you also do kind of see that, but girls do the same thing. And guys are not always at fault, because girls do want the hot guy that they can show off and their friends be like, oh yeah, he's hot too. But I think we fail to realize the whole communication thing, and worrying about who our true selves are. Is there any instances where you feel like you have tried to make yourself look better than to impress other people? Or is that, maybe it was in the earlier part of your life, but...
Yeah, I feel like I have. When I was in high school, for example, like what you wore and what shoes you had meant a lot apparently in the environment I lived in. So I made the most out of that, and I tried to make myself look so much greater than what I was. But to be honest, I was just focusing on the wrong things. But it was just me not knowing that it didn't matter. That's all.
Okay, and one last question. Obviously you have matured since then. What has helped you mature and become more solidified in who you are and how you are in the world and how you just, progress?
Definitely just praying and letting things happen in life without worrying about them. My mom, a lot of times, she would just explain to me, like, you got so much to learn, and that allowed me to relax and stop stressing about every single moment of my life. And then also living in the age of technology we live in today, I can find anything I'm interested in on the internet, like almost anything. And I use my resources to figure out what exactly is going on in the world around me. And it makes me realize I'm so much smaller than I thought I was. Not saying that's a negative thing, but it's just a thing to be aware of.
Thank you so much for this interview. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening in to today's podcast. I would like to say a special thank you to my 4 special guests I had with me today to interview and their honest thoughts and opinions when it came to women insecurity. I also hope that you all listening was able to think differently or achieve different opinions and thoughts when it came to women insecurity as well. And I hope you guys all have a great day and y'all stay nasty.